Hello everyone, and welcome back. This is very weird for me. So I've now got my microphone echoed into my ears right now. So we're gonna see how this goes. It might be a little too weird. But I've had a problem where I don't know, not being able to hear myself has been strange because I've got quite big headphones that I wear most of the time. And they're really good, but they're quite noise cancelling, which is part of why they're really good. But it then means that I have to talk really loud, louder than this microphone needs me to talk, because I haven't been able to hear it. So it's just going to take some getting used to. It's quite strange, but I'll get used to it, and hopefully it will then help with me, being able to hear myself and talk properly and whatnot, and also not having to talk as loud, which I think might make me feel a little bit more comfortable. Slowly working on those ways that I can make this feel a bit better for me as it needs to. But yes, hello. It is Thursday. I had to think about that one. It's Thursday. And it is just about 12:30, about 25 to 1. And my plan now, so I had mentoring this morning, which was lovely. We got to talk about, my supervision and handing my dissertation in for that supervision, not entirely. Although we did also talk about the final process and how it's really close to the end, and that's a lot. I'm going to just turn the music down for you a little bit. The thing with adjusting the sound levels is that I might have adjusted them slightly wrong. So I'll do some fiddling. If anything isn't at the right volume, just let me know. So I had that. It was lovely. It's really weird that I've only got 2 mentoring sessions left. Not entirely, obviously. I'll have my mentor again in January when I start my PhD. But it was weird to know that, I've got 2 more sessions left, or potentially 3. Depending on it. So basically the way I've set things up is I'm going on holiday from work a few days before my dissertation is due. So I've got the few days before it off, and then I've got the entire week after it off, so that I also have some time where I'm not doing anything, because we need it, an actual holiday. So basically I've got I've got my mentoring that's the 2 days before. I've got next week's mentoring, and I've got the mentoring that's 2 days before my hand-in deadline. But I might actually have handed in before then, because I'm handing it to my supervisor a week tomorrow. That's why we're here today working on the dissertation, because I realised it's very close, and I'm going to try, and I feel like it, so we'll see. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so I'm going to do that, hand that into her. I'll probably get it back by the Monday, and because I'll be handing her what I think is my final version, and I'll make any changes that she thinks I need to make, and might as well hand it in then. There's no point, I'll have had a few days where I haven't looked at it, which is really important for me. I've talked about this before when I'm writing. I really like having a gap between finishing something and editing something, and I do this with essays as well. I actually finish essays several days in advance so that I've got time to have some time away from them and then go back into them fresh and edit them. It's really hard to edit your own work. I've worked as an editor before, and I've told lots of people never to edit their own work. You shouldn't, you can't, because you know in your head what it's meant to say, and you're too in it, as it were. So yeah, you're never going to do as well editing your own work as you would do otherwise. So it's really important to make sure that you've got that space, so that if you have to self-edit, there's a chance that it can be a bit better. So that we're talking about that, and that was interesting. Sort of planning all of that, and I realized that I was sort of talking about what I had left. So after I stream yesterday? Last stream. It was yesterday. It was yesterday, but when I streamed yesterday, I hadn't made all of the changes, I don't think. Or did I make them all straight after the supervision? Either way, one of those two things happened. I either made all of the changes yesterday after I'd streamed, which I think is what I did, or I made them all on Tuesday after the supervision. Either way, section 2 is fully done. So it is just looking at section 3 and the big pile of stuff that I've sort of yeeted in there, because I knew they weren't going in the other sections. I think there's quite a lot in there I'm not going to include. A lot of it is written already. It doesn't actually need to be that many words, but I don't know what on earth I want that section to be. So that is the plan for today. It's not necessarily to write it and finish it, although it's theoretically possible that that could happen because of how I write. That's not the plan. The plan is just to look at it, read through all the stuff I've got there already, work out if there's anything that I look at and immediately go, oh no, I don't want to keep this, or I definitely want to keep this, or oh my god, this is the crux of everything, you know, whatever it might be. And yeah, to just make that my goal for today. And then, because then that then gives me, I'll have a few days, I've got some really busy days with work, so I won't be able to look at my dissertation. By doing that first, I've got, you know, a bit more time to separate from it and then to go back in and really get it done. Hi Omar, I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, so that then that sort of on the day where I go back in, and it really threw me off because there was talking and music there. On the day that I then go back in, like to actually fully write it, I want to go back in knowing what it's going to be. Because I had that benefit with the second section, and I think that really helped because, and for the second section it was because I talked about it on stream. So I'm hoping that the process of sort of so what we're going to do is what I sort of talked about trying last stream. I've set up a timer. It's going to show on the screen. It's going to show no there, down there. I'm still I moved my camera around as well, so now I'm like, nothing is where I thought it was. Yes, so we will basically I will do 20 minutes of work in which I will be silenced. I'm also going to experiment with angling the camera a different way, because one of the things that when my anxiety goes, I become really self-conscious about my face specifically. I'm less self-conscious about like being seen and more about my facial expression being seen constantly. I don't know if that like rings true with anyone who has any sort of anxiety. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to point the camera down at my notebook. You won't be able to read what I'm writing, I don't think, because it'll be upside down and also far away, but realistically it's just going to be me writing things like include X, don't include Y. So I think I'm okay with that, but we'll see how it goes. This is an experiment. We are still early on and experimenting, and the advantage to not having a lot of people around, I'm sort of leaning into that as an advantage, so I can like play and experiment and work out what it is I want to do and how I want to do things without worrying that like there's all these people here and I'm letting them down. So I think that's going to be a good way of doing things. I'm going to try that. So yeah, I will do 20 minutes of work and then I will unmute and I will sort of chat 10 minutes or so about what I've just done. Then I will go back again, and I'm aiming to do 2 bursts of that today because I don't want to go all in once. I've also just realised that I might fill my computer up with how long the stream is going to be and the fact that I'm recording it. Oh no, I've got 50 gigabytes. We're fine. Turns out when you start like storing several hours of high def video on your hard drive, even though your hard drive is big, it's quite a lot. What are we studying for? I am doing a also you don't need to yell, I can see you. We are working on a dissertation for a master's degree in creative writing, and my dissertation is about trauma and healing through live action roleplay. It's a little bit weird, but I'm currently very close to my deadline. I've got 2 weeks left, and so we're working on writing the final section of that. The first 2 sections are all completely done. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today, and we will see how it goes. Are we on time? Right, cool. So we're about where I wanted to be, because I wanted to talk for a little bit first, mostly to calm myself down. I know I get a little bit anxious just when I'm here, but in a way that I'm it's really weird to say that I'm anxious doing something but that I also want to do it, because I think that confuses people sometimes, but I do enjoy streaming, and I'm really enjoying experimenting with it, but it's yeah, it's interesting. So what I will do is I will get my timer up. Where is my timer? It's just going to say we initially. That's when I was testing. That's what I had as my completion word, because I just didn't know what I was going to pick. And in the end, I've actually put break time, which is much more demonstrative of what is actually going to happen. Opposed to just cool. So should all work. That is showing. What I need to do now is put up and adjust my. Right, so this is what we're going to do. Aha! Oh no, I've got hands. So just so that you can see that some studying is occurring, because I don't want to show you Scrivener. And yeah, so we will see how this goes. This is an experiment. This might not work. We'll see. So I'm gonna shut up now, and I will see you in 20 minutes. Hello, I'm back. Yeah, it's break time. Oh, that was interesting. Firstly, hello, welcome new people. So first of all, a dissertation is the final piece of work that we complete for master's degrees in the UK, like mostly for humanities and social sciences, some sciences as well. It sort of depends what you're doing. And it's, for me, it is a 12,000 word piece of fiction writing, or I could do 24 pages of poetry, but I've chosen to do 12,000 pages. 1,000 pages? Oh God, 12,000 words. Definitely not 12,000 pages. That would be awful. Although I could write 12,000 pages of this. Yeah, so, and it's basically the final piece of work we do, and it represents quite a lot of the contribution towards our final mark. So it's really important. We get an entire term to work on it, which normally is 3 months. I've actually, because of COVID-19, I have taken a postponement of my deadline. So my deadline is in November when it should have been in August. So I've had 3 extra months, but in respect of the fact that I spent a lot of that time not able to do anything. But yeah, so firstly, if you're studying along with me, I hope your study time went well. I basically just had a wild party in my draft folder. So I had, when I first opened it, because what I've basically been doing is I've just been throwing into there all the stuff that I've written that hasn't fitted anywhere else. And also stuff that I originally intended to be in that section when I thought I knew what that section was. I didn't. So I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 9 things in there. Well, actually, I've also trashed a load. I had more than 9. Basically, what I have done is I have gone through everything, first of all, gone through and reread all of those individual things. I've gotten rid of the stuff that I know I'm not including. Not necessarily because it's bad. Oh, I didn't actually mark that. Medication is taken after I ran out to take it. I didn't take that. Sorry, my medication app was getting upset at me. Yeah, and so normally I keep my medication by my computer. In fact, I've talked about this before, but I'd finished the last blister pack, so I run get some more. Because if I don't take it on time, then I won't take it at all, because I have a terrible memory, or what rather, a terrible attention paid to what time it is. Yeah, so I basically, I looked at some things and they are related to characters I've already covered. So in the 3 sections of my dissertation, I basically have a collection of topics that I'm discussing and a character that is attached to them and illustrating them. So I did that in the first 2. So I had some things left over that I'd written about Catelyn, who is the character in the first section. So I got rid of those because I'm not going to use Catelyn again. I've used her for that first section. I had a couple of things that were just like almost like meditations that I'd written on the theme, that just didn't really fit in anywhere and were a bit fragmented and better in a way that I didn't want them to be. So one of them was explicitly about like writing my dissertation in the pandemic and that sort of thing. So I've got rid of those because I think they're really interesting. I don't think they're adding specifically to what I'm doing. So I've now got 4 things left in there. One of them is the thing I talked about ages ago where I had the ethical problem of, do I include this thing or not, and do I talk to the person it involves or not, or anything? And what I have done in the end is I have taken anything that indicates who that person is out, but I have retained it. In order to do that, I've actually had to remove the character from it, which means I now don't know what character I'm using in this section. I also have too many words. But I've got some really big, long things that I can cut down a lot. I've got like a huge, long... The stuff on theatre of cruelty I actually quite like. I've got a huge long rant about the dangers of role-playing, and the problem with calling role-playing not real life and calling things that aren't role-playing real life, which I really like, but I can definitely compress that a lot and edit that down. Because it's currently 800 words, which might not sound like a lot, but I've only got 2,500 words for this section. I can go to 3,500. I will be over the word limit by then. But the way our word limits work is that's the target. So 12,000 is my target, and I can go 10% under or 10% over that without being penalised. So I can write 13,200. Yes, 13,200. Which means I can write like 3,700 in this section because of how much I've got left. I may need to do that, but I want to save that space for getting a character in, because I really like the that sort of setup, because it works really well as a structural thing. It's a really good way of meshing fiction with non-fiction, and character memoir without character memoir, as it were. So what I have been doing, so like the first half of that session I spent throwing things over my shoulder effectively, like rooting through all of this stuff I've written and going nope, nope, nope. And I'm left with some stuff. So then I spent the second half of it like really trying to think about what I want this section to be. And so what I've written down, what I've been writing in my notes, is like the themes of each of the sections thus far. So the themes of the first section are love, memory, and the mutable connection between your character and yourself, and like sort of questions of identity around that. And then the second section is much more about healing trauma and vulnerability. And I mean vulnerability both in the sense of personal vulnerability, but also in the vulnerability required to roleplay and to open yourself up to, because that's the section that talks about bleed, and bleed in both directions, and positive bleed, but also negative bleed. And so what I think I'm now leading towards, because I was sort of thinking about how one section flows into the other, and you've got that first section that's about the depth of feeling, and then the second section is sort of about the positive use of that feeling, but I didn't get that much time to delve into the dangers inherent in that in role-playing. So I really want, I think I'm starting to feel that the third section needs to be more about that danger, and is that danger worth it, and how do you negotiate that danger, and how does the role-playing community as a whole negotiate that danger, which works really well with what I've got here, because I've got that section about my roleplay style not meshing with someone's, and then me ending up like overwhelming them slightly with my obsessive writing about characters. Hi Steve, welcome in. So I've got that. I've got a section on differences between different LARP games and different perspectives, and that's the section where I want to put the towards the end it becomes about Nordic LARP, and that gives me a really good avenue to put in the section I wanted to write about the sort of brink play based roleplay games, and the ones that are really pushing the envelope of what it is and isn't okay to include in a roleplay game, but doing so consensually, and sort of to talk about their what they did and how they made sure it was okay, that sort of thing. And that will be 1 or 2 paragraphs. It won't need to be that much, because I'm presenting it in an illustrative manner rather than like presenting it to then really in-depth analyze it, so that should be okay. Then I have my section on theatre of cruelty, which I think works really well with that, because it's sort of drawing in some of my own story again, which is something that runs through all of the things, and goes very well with what has just happened, what I will have just talked about. And then I have that section that's a huge long rant about using the words real life. And yeah, so obviously I've got that section I can edit down. So I could do that with my 20 minutes. What I really don't know yet, so I don't know what character's going in here. So I can't use Catalin and I can't use Theodosia because I've used them already. And I need a character that shows things can go wrong, but the benefit you'll get from it is still worth it. So I think actually the best character that illustrates that is the one I just took out. Problem is that I then want to put her back in. And it feels weird to do that without like naming it specifically. I don't know. There is still more I can do. In that section about wanting different things to anonymize it, I can go a bit further and chop more out, which will help my work out as well. But yeah, I'm not sure. So I think probably the best thing for me to do with the next 20 minutes, which will potentially be the only other one we do. I'm working myself up to this slowly. I also need to, make sure that I actually take breaks properly, because whilst stopping and talking here is kind of a break, it's also not fully a break, if you see what I mean, because there's people here to talk to. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna edit that last piece and just think some more about like characters I have as an option. Actually, hold on, I've got a page somewhere here where I was brainstorming and I was thinking of the characters I could include. I made a lot of roleplay characters, guys. A lot. In fact, I made a list. When I originally had 4 sections and they had specific themes, they ended up a bit more jumbled up than that, and the themes changed. But I had this list. Character I cut out is the best one. Okay, so I need to find a way to get her in. So what I will do then is I will edit that one down. I will let that percolate in my brain a bit. If I get time in the 20 minutes, I'll go back to this one and see if I can anonymize it more. Because basically, if that conversation that I reference is less clearly connected, obviously the person who's involved in, if they ever read it, they'll know it's them, but that's okay. Because I'm okay presenting my point of view of what happened, but it feels disingenuous to or inappropriate to like project onto them. And if I've removed them from it and anonymized them, then that projection is sort of saved, prevented. And I'm not like revealing stuff that was said in a private conversation in a way that's problematic. Because there's nothing wrong with saying you once had a conversation with someone where they told you a thing, as long if you're doing it sort of independently of everything. So yeah. So where's my timer? Also, I mentioned this earlier, but if any of the sound levels are not great, you let me know. I'm turning the music up when I'm going into break mode because obvious too. But yeah, just let me know if anything not working, and I will see you all. Start again? Yeah. See you in 2 minutes. That was a really weird face. I don't know why I pulled that face. Hello. That went badly. Okay. So, I haven't turned the music down for you. So I did the thing I said I was going to do. I edited that third thing. Got 50 words out of it. I mean, considering it was like only 800, 50 is a reasonable amount, but obviously it's not that much altogether. Then I went through and read everything over again. Oh, and I edited that the other thing so that it's more anonymized now, and I think it's pretty anonymized now. I think that's okay. I think even if I then use that character as the character in this section, it would still be okay. But I started. So what I started to do then was to go, and this is what I've done with all of the sections. I've then gone and looked at, really looked at all of my writing for those characters and worked out what in there it jogged my memory of things that would fit with the themes that I'm going with, that sort of thing. I also I've cut the theatre recording section. I really like it. I think I don't have the room to go into it fully. I think in order to do it, I mean, I could still put it back in. I've not like got rid of it forever. I've got a stash folder that I've been throwing everything. So it's still possible for me to put it back in, but it is like nearly 1,000 words. So I'm now at the point where I've got 1,000 words of room, which is about what I will need in order to get a character into this. So I started reading, and I was reading, and I found another character, and was thinking, oh, maybe this one would work. So that's the point I'm at now. Is I'm trying to find the character to go in this. So I've been reading on stuff that I've been writing, not necessarily to lift that specifically, although I have in some instances lifted stuff I've written before and edited it for this, where it's made sense, and where it'd be silly not to. And I don't know. I have this other character. Basically, what I'm looking for a character that articulates in some way, this thing is dangerous and risky, but it is worth it because it can change your life so much for the better. Because that's basically what I'm saying in this section. I'm saying there are some really inherent dangers in role-playing that can make that can put you at risk from negative bleed, from interactions that are difficult for you, or from going to games that are too challenging and push the limits of what you're okay with, and all that sort of thing. And I want a character that shows that. Now, there's a couple of ways that could happen. Obviously, there is the obvious way of, I played this character, and though they were ultimately good for me, there were times where it was difficult and I had trouble with bleed or whatever might have happened, which the character I was going to use is an example of that. But then I found this other character of mine who shows that in their character, like not in my relationship to the character, although my relationship to the character is complicated because basically they're a Tolkien elf. Their dissertation is, I should really make a command for this. Basically, it's the big final project we do for master's degrees in the UK, where what we're producing is likely to be a large amount of writing. Obviously, there are some more science-based degrees and things like that will do a different form of project. But for me, I'm doing creative writing, and I've got to do 12,000 words of creative. So I was looking at this character, but they're based on Tolkien mythology, which would be safe for me using in the dissertation, even if I wanted to publish it, because it's transformative enough. Don't worry, no worries. Is it Sahigna? I'm terrible at pronouncing usernames. Do let me know, and I'll make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly for you. Okay, cool. So I could use her. so there's some complication in that character, but it's not in a way that's related to this. It would be very much using it as the character's journey in the story of their character, is what reflects this idea of risk and reward. Basically, no, I can't explain this character in a short way. I can't explain any of my characters quickly. I don't have as much writing about her, and I was sort of looking through it and I was like, no, this character does make sense, but I don't have anything that's really jumping out at me. In where I looked now, I've got several places where my writing is. I've got a lot in my Evernote. So I was going through that first of all. I made it crash several times, so if you saw me pulling weird faces, it's probably because I was annoyed that I'd crashed the program again. So I've also got a load in my Google Drive that I can look at as well and have a read through those. And also just look for more characters. I only looked in, basically I looked under, I categorized them under different games. Because that was the obvious way at the time. And both the characters I've included thus far are from the same game. So I sort of wanted a different one here. I wanted one from a different LARP, just to have some variety, because I've done more than one LARP in my lifetime. So I was looking at the first, like, the LARP I did when I first LARPed, and that I then stayed with for several years, and where I met all of my close LARP friends and my husband and all sorts. So it's a really important game to include something for, but also is a place where I've had a lot of the problems that this section talks about. Partly because, so one of my sections is about the three-way model and the different styles of role-playing, and the sort of what happens when your style of role-playing doesn't mesh up with the game you're in. And that definitely happened for me with this particular LARP. It's an amazing LARP. It's so good, the events are amazing, but it doesn't mesh stylistically with the sort of roleplay that I like to do. I can have games that I've really enjoyed, like when they're run by people who are sort of more along a similar line to me, and I've run loads of games there, some of which have been fantastic. And people have really enjoyed them, often because they're a bit different. But generally, it's a very high combat system. It's not very accessible at all. It's all over short durations, so there's not as much time for long character development. So all the stuff that I really love about role-playing, it doesn't fit in there very well, which is not a failing of the system or a failing of me. It's just, these things don't quite mesh up together. So it seemed like a really good place to take a character from, but I think I feel like in the first two sections, Catelyn and Theodosia fitted so perfectly, and I really want a character that fits perfectly in here. And so I've got Penny and I've got Deliniel, and Penny is the one that fits on the meta level, and Deliniel, or Boo as she is also called, is the one that fits on the in character level. So I'll see what I've got. I'll see what other writing I've got for Boo. I do love the story of how she gets the name Boo, which is that she meets the brother who adopts her by jumping out and saying Boo. He calls her Boo, and that ends up being her name. I do like that story, and I'm also conscious that a lot of the characters I'm picking are in a way tributes to the people that I've role played with, and I'd get to sort of pay tribute to the people that I role played her with a bit more. So yeah, I don't know. I'm stuck. I think I need to leave it and think about it some more, and then we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I need to stop for now. I need to stop, partly because I need to move around, because I can feel my hips seizing up. I'm not actually in too much pain today. I mean, you saw me take my painkillers earlier, but that's because I have to take them constantly. And I was only, basically, I take the minimum dose constantly, and then I take the maximum dose if I need to. So it's not too bad today, but I'm still very tired. I was in bed basically all of yesterday after streaming. And I've got a lot of other stuff that I'd like to do today. I also very conscious that I've not eaten yet, and it's nearly 2 p.m. and I've got a meeting in an hour and a half, so I think we will call this a success, although it feels like I'm ending on a note where I'm stuck. But I think I just need time to process it. I need to spend more time reading. I love reading my old role-playing writing. I love it so much. It's like stepping into a big hug of memories. Oh god, that's the... Hang on. No, wait, I'm having an epiphany. So something I've been thinking about is the need to bring the peaceful circle and to bring it back to memory in the process of explaining how the risk is worth it. I have to write about Penny, and I have to write about the difficult feelings I've had about the vast amount of stuff I've written about her, because then I can talk about the fact that still going back and reading it gives me all of those wonderful feelings and makes me feel safe and makes me feel really proud of all the writing I've done and the person I am. Yeah, it's just a question of working out how and what I include, and I've got the piece I wrote when she died, so I think I would want to use that a bit, and I'd like to go and see what some of the earlier stuff I wrote for her was, and some of the stuff that explores the difficult things, and I think I can talk about that in a way that works. It's just thinking about it. I love how I've just spent an hour agonizing over this decision only to go back to the original decision. Oh dear. Right. No, I have to do that. Actually, hold on, because I'm gonna make a note of that feeling. It's the feeling when rereading Opfic and that safety, and that even the writing itself is worth the risk. Oh fuck, this is so perfect. I feel so much better now. Oh no, this is a much better note to end on because I know what I'm doing. And then I can go through. I know I've got more writing for her that is on Google Drive, whereas the longer pieces, basically, I wrote drabbles for a long time, which are 100-word stories. I wrote loads and loads of drabbles. They're all in Evernote because Evernote worked well for like little individual pieces. But where I've got bigger, longer writing, I wanted formatted in a nicer way. I've then got it in Google Drive. But yeah, so the writing is worth the risk though, even though the writing is one of the sources of that disconnect. Oh, this streaming thing is working out really well, everyone. I know, seriously, like my dissertation would not be as good as it is if... Sorry for the loud pen noise. You may or may not have heard. Yeah, if I hadn't done this, there's like half a dozen things in this whole piece that I only thought of because I came here and talked about it. I was talking to my mentor about this earlier. It is an amazing thing, and I can't wait to see what a positive effect it can have on my PhD when I start my PhD, and how it can help other people thinking about the way that we think of studying and writing, especially as this really like separate insular thing, and it can be so incredibly impactful by like the connectivity with other people. So many ideas now. Okay. I'm calm, but I'm also allowed to lean into my excitement. This is the thing I have been trying to learn. For me, excitement is a really difficult emotion because excitement and anxiety are very similar. they affect you like physically in very similar ways. So I'll get really excited, and also I get really self-conscious when I talk a lot. But then I'll just be sort of like overwhelmed, and I won't know which is which. But I'm trying to not lose my excitement because I'm worried it's anxiety. Yeah. Okay, so we are ending on a much better note. So I think what I might stream again tomorrow. Actually, it's been really nice streaming whilst I'm working, and that's good because that's the whole idea for the PhD, is that that's what I'm going to do. So we will try that again tomorrow and see how it goes. There's been loads of you here today, and it's been lovely to talk to you, and that's been awesome. So thank you all so very much for coming. If you do want to, I don't have a schedule right now, I'm afraid. Thank you so much, Pamplemousse. If you want to hit the follow button and make sure you've got notifications on. I know Twitch notifications aren't the most reliable thing in the world. I do also always
Don't talk to it, Mary. Don't encourage it.
I also love my alerts. I do post on Twitch on Twitter every time I go live. It's too similar. So you can find my Twitter link in the About section below, or wherever it is on mobile. Can you tell I don't use Twitch on mobile very much? And so you will always hear there. In fact, there is a command. Here we go. Even better. It's almost like I planned this in advance and know what I'm doing. So yeah, you can follow me there, and I will always post when I go live. But yeah, I will probably see you tomorrow, possibly, to work on this some more. And depends a bit how I'm feeling and if I'm still in slightly lower pain levels, then I should be able to do it. But we'll see. Much can happen in the course of a day. Yeah, thank you all so much for being here and for listening to me ramble about the embodied experience of role playing. And I will see all of you maybe tomorrow. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.